Poor Mr. Pelham. First that terrible day at the racetrack, and then to hear his cousins died.
It does seem very hard.
Did you get hold of him?
Yes.
Focus Features just dropped the first official trailer for Downton Abbey, the grand finale, which marks the third and final film in the movie series inspired by Julian Fellowes' beloved PBS period drama. This last chapter will arrive in theaters on September 12th, and it looks like the Crawleys are about to face some of their biggest challenges yet. The story takes us into the early 1930s, a time of change and uncertainty for both the Crawley family and the loyal staff at Downton. Lady Mary finds herself caught right in the middle of a public scandal, and to make matters worse, the family is dealing with serious financial trouble. That means the entire household is staring down the possibility of social disgrace. It's the sort of situation that forces everyone, upstairs and downstairs alike, to adapt, because the future of Downton is going to depend on the next generation stepping up and leading it into a very different world. Of course, the movie wouldn't be complete without the familiar faces fans have grown to love. Returning for the grand finale are Hugh Bonneville, Laura Carmichael, Jim Carter, Raquel Cassidy, Brendan Coyle, Michelle Dockery, Kevin Doyle, Michael Fox, Joanne Froggatt, Paul Giamatti, Harry Hayden Patton, Robert James Collier, Alan Leach, Phyllis Logan, Elizabeth McGovern, Sophie McShera, Leslie Nichol, Dominic West, Penelope Wilton, Jolie Richardson, Paul Copley, and Douglas Reith. And just to make things even more interesting, new cast members include Jolie Richardson, Alessandro Nivola, Simon Russell Beale, and Artie Frushan. Behind the scenes, the film is produced by Gareth Neame, Julian Fellowes, and Liz Trubridge, with Nigel Marchant as executive producer. Simon Curtis is back in the director's chair after helming A New Era, and once again, Fellowes has written the script for this final installment. Meanwhile, Elizabeth McGovern, known to fans as Lady Cora, has another big project that's completely different from her work in Downton. She's about to portray Hollywood legend Ava Gardner in a stage play opening in New York. McGovern is passionate about telling Gardner's story, pointing out that the actress lived through decades of being objectified by the film industry. Gardner's career peaked in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, but the constant pressures of stardom took their toll. Eventually, she left California for England, where she spent her final years living in a luxurious apartment near Harrods. The play, Ava, The Secret Conversations, opens July 29th at New York City Center and is based on recorded interviews between Gardner and journalist Peter Evans, which he later turned into a book published in 2013. After its New York run, the production will head to Chicago's Studebaker Theater from September 24th to October 12th, and then move on to Toronto's CAA Theater from November 5th to 23rd. McGovern adapted Evans' book herself, creating a stage version that strips away the Hollywood gloss and offers an unfiltered, intimate portrait of Gardner's life. She compares the on-stage exchanges between Gardner and Evans to a fierce Wimbledon tennis match, with sharp back-and-forth dialogue. While Gardner's marriages to Mickey Rooney, Artie Shaw, and Frank Sinatra are part of her story, McGovern emphasizes that in the play, Ava is defined by her own achievements and her strength, not just by the men she married. This production first ran at Riverside Studios in London 3 years ago, directed by Moritz von Stulpnagel, before making its U.S. debut at the Geffen Playhouse in spring 2023. Aaron Costa-Ganis plays Evans alongside McGovern, and the more time McGovern spends in Gardner's shoes, the more affection she has for the woman, calling her absolutely authentic and ahead of her time in many ways. It's a role far removed from the quiet dignity of Lady Cora in Downton Abbey. McGovern's off-screen personality is also a lot livelier than her fictional counterparts. Over a cup of green tea, she jokingly admits that despite trying to cut back on coffee, she's already had 3 cups that morning. With a grin, she confesses it's what gets her out of bed, at least before she speaks to anyone. Her acting career began with a big splash, starring in Ordinary People opposite Donald Sutherland, Mary Tyler Moore, and Timothy Hutton, a role that Robert Redford personally cast her in. She followed that up with Milos Forman's Ragtime, which gave her the rare opportunity to work alongside old Hollywood legends like James Cagney. Then came Once Upon a Time in America, sharing the screen with Robert De Niro and James Woods. Looking back, she says films from that era had a certain magic that feels missing today. But while McGovern's stage project is fascinating, Downton Abbey the grand finale is still the main event for fans, and there are plenty of questions hanging in the air. For starters, why are Guy Dexter and Thomas Barrow back in England? In a new era, Thomas left Downton to work and live with Guy in America. But the trailers show both of them in London, with Guy performing in a theater production. Are they there for his work, or is Thomas feeling homesick for the life he left behind? Then there's Anna Bates. In real life, actress Joanne Froggatt was pregnant during filming, so the storyline was written to include Anna's pregnancy as well. She and John Bates already have one son, born in the TV series finale, so will we see their second child make an appearance on screen? Another thread involves Cora's brother, Harold Levinson, played by Paul Giamatti. The movie is set in 1930, just after the Wall Street crash of 1929, and Harold's history of poor money management suggests he may have lost a fortune. If that's the case, it could have serious implications for Downton's finances, especially since much of Cora's money is tied up in the estate. And then there's the matter of Lady Mary's divorce from Henry Talbot. While they seemed happy enough at the end of the series, his absence from the past two films hinted at trouble. With the Matrimonial Causes Act of 1923 making it easier for either spouse to file for divorce on grounds of adultery, it's possible that's what happened, though the trailers don't spell it out. The biggest question of all, though, is what will ultimately happen to Downton Abbey itself. The house has been a central character throughout the entire saga, but maintaining such a large estate in the changing world of the 1930s is no small task. The Crawleys have already adapted the house for different purposes over the years, serving as a convalescent home during World War I, opening for public tours, even allowing a film crew to use it, but financial pressures, personal changes, and the looming threat of another world war could mean the family's time there is coming to an end. The trailers hint at some emotional farewells. Robert seems to be saying goodbye to the house, while Mary is shown in what looks like an empty city apartment, perhaps searching for a new home. If the family does leave, will Downton be sold to a private buyer, or could it be handed over to the National Trust and repurposed as a school, a boarding house, or even another convalescent home? And for fans who can't imagine life without a piece of Downton, there's some good news. Many of the show's costumes, props, and set pieces will be up for auction. From August 18th to September 16th, 2025, Bonhams in London will host Downton Abbey the auction. Visitors can see the items in person for free during the exhibition period, and bids will be accepted from around the world. It's a rare chance to own something from the series, whether it's an elegant gown worn by Lady Mary, a prop from the servants' quarters, or something from the grand dining room. So between the long-awaited conclusion to the Downton Abbey saga, Elizabeth McGovern's deep dive into Ava Gardner's fascinating life, and the chance for fans to literally take home part of the show's history, this year is shaping up to be a big one for anyone who's ever been swept up in the world of the Crawleys. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay in the loop. And if you want, you can share your thoughts about this video in the comments below.